Hey guys, and thank you for watching. If you're new to my channel, I'm Kelly. Welcome to K Bella Beauty. I hope that you'll hit that subscribe button before you go. If you're not new, welcome back. I'm really excited for this video that I have for you today. It's actually a video that I thought I already filmed, but then when I looked back through my collection, I never did film this video. So I do have a Makeup Geek collection video for you. I've said it before on my channel, Makeup Geek eyeshadows are my absolute favorite, and I have a ton of them. So today I'm going to kind of go through all of my Makeup Geek eyeshadows. I'm going to swatch them for you. I'm going to tell you some of my favorites, and I'm also going to tell you some of my least favorite eyeshadows. I will leave some timestamps down below if you're just here for the swatches or if you're just here to hear some of my favorites. So if you're interested in seeing my Makeup Geek eyeshadow collection, go ahead and keep on watching. So I want to start by telling you a little bit about Makeup Geek. Now, I started purchasing eyeshadows from Makeup Geek, I want to say probably like 4 years ago. And when I did first start purchasing them, there was only one type of eyeshadow. And so since then, Marlena, who is the owner and CEO of Makeup Geek, she's come out with several different types of eyeshadows. The first being just the regular eyeshadows. Those are $6 and they typically have mattes and satins. Then she came out with foiled eyeshadows. Now those are more expensive, those are $10, but it's because it is a foiled pigment packed into an eyeshadow pan. And her third type of eyeshadow are the duochromes, and those are $6 as well. And the duochromes are really cool because they have like a shift in them. They can look like two different colors in one. Makeup Geek does also have all kinds of other products. I have some of her brushes, I have some of her highlighters, but I'm going to focus specifically on the eyeshadows today. And I do have them in 2Z palettes. I'm pretty sure these are just the large Z palettes, not the extra large. And I'm also pretty sure that I did get both of these on the Makeup Geek website. So let's go ahead and start off with the swatches. I'm going to swatch each of these eyeshadows for you, and then I'll list the name, and if it is a foiled or duochrome, I'll list that as well. Now that you've seen the swatches of all of my eyeshadows, I do want to start by telling you some of my favorites and some of my unfavorites, I guess. So you'll notice I do have two different Z palettes. This is the Z palette with the Makeup Geek eyeshadows that I use regularly, and then this palette also has some blushes, a few different shadows in here as well, but these are the Makeup Geek shadows that I don't really reach for that often, so I kind of put them in a different Z palette. When I am reaching for my shadows though, these are the shadows that I go for. Now some of my favorites, obviously, you can see I have Hit Pan. These are some of my first Makeup Geek eyeshadows, and it's Beaches and Cream and Creme Brulee. You hear a lot of people talk about Creme Brulee being a great transition shade, but since I'm really fair, I actually like to mix Beaches and Cream and Creme Brulee, and that's pretty much my transition when I'm using any of these shadows. I just mix them together, use it as a transition shade, and then I'll go back in when I'm blending with Beaches and Cream just to make everything look nice and seamless. Then I would say my third most used shadow is this one right here, and it's Shimma Shimma. And Shimma Shimma is like a nice highlight shade. I like to use it on my brow bone and also as an inner corner highlight as well. Some of my favorite mattes, besides obviously my transition shades, I really like Cocoa Bear. It's a nice warm brown shade that you can use like in the outer V just to kind of give your eyeshadow some depth and dimension. I do also like Bitten when I'm going for more of a cranberry shade. Bitten is a nice cranberry shade. Now I do have three shadows that are kind of similar, and it is these three right here. So this one is Tiki Hut, Preppy, and Frappe. Now they are a little bit different, and you could see in the swatches that they do differ a little bit. However, if you're not necessarily a collector of eyeshadows, I don't really feel like you need all three. I would say the one that I probably use the most is Tiki Hut. It's more of like almost like a camel brown, whereas Preppy has a little bit more of like that olive look, and then Frappe is more cool toned deep chocolate shade. But I do like those three matte shadows as well. I also really love Vintage. I reach for that a lot. I actually have Vintage on my eyes today. I reach for that a lot when I am trying to do more of a purple look. Some of my favorite lid shades. Now her foiled eyeshadows are beautiful. I find that they work best with the finger. However, you can use the flat shader brush and get a lot of pigment as well. But some of my favorites, I like to use Whimsical as a highlighter in my inner corner. I feel like it gives me a nice pop. But then the eyeshadow that I have on the lid is this guy right here, and it is Pillow Talk. And Pillow Talk is beautiful. It's just an absolutely beautiful shade, and it is super, super pigmented. So I really like to wear that all over the lid. And then of course I have some foiled here along the side. Now Grandstand was my very first foiled purchase, and so I used my finger. Let me pull it out. So I used my finger whenever I would apply this, and I don't know if you can tell, but the oils on my finger kind of gave it like a weird texture and kind of, I don't know, like made the shadow do something weird. But I found that my other foiled shadows don't do that. Grandstand was the only one. So I don't know if she reformulated or whatnot, but just beware that if you do use your finger, that could potentially happen. But two of my other favorite foiled shadows are Charmed. This is like just a beautiful, almost like a green, but a silver. And then of course Legend is like that go-to copper shade, and they look really beautiful on the lid. Now if you're going for more of the one shadow look, where you just take one eyeshadow and use it both in your crease and all over the lid, I would say that Pocket Change and Lucky Penny are two beautiful shadows to do that with. They're part of her regular line, but they're satins, so when you pack them on the lid with a shader brush, you get more of this satiny shift. But if you do take a blending brush, you can blend it into the crease and it almost looks like you have two eyeshadows in one. So those are some of my absolute favorite eyeshadows. Now I did also want to go over these shadows here, which are my not so loved eyeshadows, but I wanted to explain why they weren't my favorites and why I put them in this palette over here. So these shadows right here are all Makeup Geek, and again, they're the ones that I don't really reach for. Now this one right here, Glamorous, the reason why I don't reach for it is just because I'm not really into that shade. It's very much like a fire golden orange shade, and I just don't reach for it a lot. It was one of my first purchases when I was purchasing Makeup Geek, and she didn't have a huge selection, but I just find that I don't really reach for it that often. Then I have some shades that I feel like are kind of similar, like these three here. Let me pull them out. I don't have them memorized, but this one is Hipster on the bottom, Moon Dust, and Homecoming. So again, it's Homecoming, Moon Dust, and Hipster. And it's not that they're bad shadows, but I just don't really reach for them, and they're almost kind of similar in shade. Then we have Pretentious, which I do like. It's a brown with flecks of gold, but again, I don't really reach for it. And then I have two purple shades down here, Prom Night and Twilight. I just don't really reach for purples. I used them a lot when I first got them, but now that my eyeshadow collection has expanded, I find myself not really reaching for them. Now I do love these two shades here. The purple is Caitlin Rose, and then Pegasus in the blue. These are beautiful shades, but they're definitely not going to be a go-to. Like if I'm going to work, I'm not really gonna put Pegasus or Caitlin Rose on the lid, but that's not to say that they're bad shadows. I do reach for them on occasion when I'm going for a certain look, but since it's not an everyday eyeshadow, I put it over in this palette here. That is it. That is my Makeup Geek eyeshadow collection. Makeup Geek eyeshadows are some of my absolute favorite. I will continue to repurchase them. I really like that Marlena is starting to bundle them as well, and you can get certain palettes bundled together, but I just really like the creaminess, I like the blendability, and I like the fact that I can pick my own shades and I'm not purchasing a palette with shadows that I know I'm not going to use. I would love to hear in the comments down below some of your favorite Makeup Geek eyeshadow shades. Now that you know my collection, are there some that I should be getting that I don't have already? I would love to hear those in the comments down below. Or if this video has sparked your interest and inspired you to pick up some of your own Makeup Geek shadow shades, I would love to know which ones you're going to get. If you did enjoy this video, please give it a thumbs up. I hope that you'll subscribe before you go, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.